Hi everyone, it's Katie, and today I have a confession to make. My 8 tarot decks for the year challenge is busted. I've completely blown that out of the water, but I do have, I think, a fairly good explanation, and I have some really wonderful decks to share with you, so hopefully you'll enjoy that part anyway. So basically the Nigel Jackson tarot had been on my wish list, but it's out of print, quite expensive, and whenever I'd kind of seen it come up over the last few months, whether on eBay or Eclectic Tarot or trading forums or Facebook, they're always overseas, and either people don't want to ship to Australia or it's very expensive. But a couple of weeks ago I made contact with a wonderful woman here in Melbourne who had a brand new copy of the Nigel Jackson that she was willing to sell me for a very, very reasonable price. So I popped around to her place, met her husband and her dog, and we went through boxes and boxes of decks that she was planning on selling. Can you blame me? I'm just going to share with you the decks because I am really excited about them, and I am so excited to work with them. Some of them are so interesting, and some of them are just gorgeous ones that have been on my wish list, and I think some of these won't have been viewed on YouTube a whole lot, so I think that'll be interesting for you guys to have a look too. So the first deck is the most exciting in my opinion. It is the reason I went around to see her in the first place, and it's the Nigel Jackson. It did come with a little guidebook which is about the size of the deck, and this is an out of print deck, but it literally doesn't look like it's been touched. Comes in a really kind of cute little tuck box, and the cards are really big and beautiful. This deck is brand new. That's the backing, and here are some of the cards. I love this artwork. I think it's so beautiful. It is quite traditional, and I just love the soft kind of pencil-y work and the colours. I don't want to show you too many cards because I have a lot of decks to show you. Here's the Seven of Swords, which I think works really well. So this deck was published, I don't know whether this was the first one or the second one, but it was also called the Medieval Enchanted or something. It's very medieval in its sort of depiction. I love this. Aren't they beautiful? I quite like how they've done the symbols of the suits kind of just disembodied in the sky of a lot of the cards, and then the scene below it. I think it works really well. Staves replace wands. I think this is really interesting. Often the Ten of Wands or the Ten of Staves is summarized as oppression, and so that's an interesting view of oppression, burning books and kind of subjugating people. So that's a really quick look at the Nigel Jackson. This is the deck that started this whole little splurge off, and I couldn't be happier. This deck is gorgeous, but I also really I love the imagery of this deck. It just speaks to me on such a deep and beautiful level. The next deck I picked up from her was the Sacred Rose. Now this deck is still in print, although this is an old copy. But what was really cool about this was she also gave me the guidebook, like the big guidebook, the companion book, which is no longer in print, and I'm just really excited. This deck is really vibrant and beautiful. This is the backing. It's kind of a bit interesting in that all of the eyes are just white. There's no pupil, so it's kind of almost alien. I really like this deck. I think it's beautiful. It's almost got a stained glass sort of look to it in some cards, and I think that's just because of how vibrant it is. I just think it's stunning. The colors are just incredible. And it's done so that everything kind of looks like it's sparkling. The next is the Spiral Tarot, which she also gave me the companion book to. This is really surprising me by just how much I like it. I mean, I enjoyed the imagery, but it's just drawing me in a way that I wasn't quite prepared for. I think it's gorgeous. The backing's really quite simple. Check out this Empress. There's a lot of symbolism in this deck, so again, I'm quite glad that she's given me the companion book for it. Strength. I love how Justice has like the peacock feathers behind her. I love this Two of Swords, how she's balancing on the tightrope. Reminds me almost of like a Van Gogh or something. Ace of Cups. This is another deck that I want to show you every picture because they're just gorgeous. Princess of Wands has a little pet dragon. Nine of Pentacles. 10. Oh, the princess. Isn't she beautiful? And the Queen. I have a feeling that this is going to become a really important deck for me. I'm not going to be using it just yet. I mean, I have so many decks to kind of spend some time with. But I just feel like I'm going to come across a time when I'm just ready for this deck. And I feel like it's going to be really important. There's something really special about this deck. The next deck she gave me is the Enchanted Tarot, which is huge. And she also gave me the hardback companion book. This deck is really, really beautiful, but I'm not sure if I'm going to connect to it. I think she just kind of added this into the pile for me, and it is really pretty, so I'm going to spend some time with it and just see if I get along with it or not. This one I'm not so emotionally attached to. I do think it's pretty, I'm just not sure if it's going to become a staple for me. I'm thinking this deck might just be a bit too busy for me. There's just a lot of textures and patterns going on, which are quite beautiful, but I tend to like quite clean and simple drawings when I'm reading. I think that's probably quite obvious to you if you've been picking up on the sort of decks that I am really attracted to. This next deck is one that I wasn't so sure about at first. It's the Tower of the Spirit. And the reason I wasn't sure was because it's just not artwork that I'm generally drawn to, you know, based on other decks that I really enjoy and the artwork that seems to be the sort of artwork that I'm drawn to. However, I was really drawn to this deck. When I pulled it out of the box, I just couldn't stop looking at it. And it did come with a huge companion book. So that's going to be interesting reading that. This is another deck that I think is going to be sitting on my shelf for a little while for now. But I just think it's gorgeous, and I'm really looking forward to when the time comes for me to work with it. Beautiful. There's a lot of movement in this deck. And it's just stunning. And there's keywords at the bottom too, or titles. It's just beautiful. The colours are just stunning. They're not too saturated or too vivid, they just work. It almost reminds me of like the Fountain Tarot cross the Japri Tarot. I don't have the Japri Tarot, but from what I can tell, it's quite the colours and the use of some of this artwork, but then the Fountain Tarot is quite angular and geometric in some places. The next deck is a really interesting one. It's the Pythagorean Tarot. Now this is a very complicated symbolic deck, and luckily for me it again came with a huge companion book. It is a beast. So I think this one is going to be like a study in and of itself, and I'm really looking forward to kind of breaking down this deck and seeing what it's made of. Some of the artwork is quite pretty, although it's not the sort of deck you would buy for the artwork. It's certainly a very symbolic deck with a lot of layers. It is very pippish, but again there's quite a lot of symbolism. This is going to be a very interesting, I think it's going to take me a while to really work with this deck though. I think it's going to be a bit of an experience. She also gave me a copy of the Mythic Tarot. This is the original one, although a later printing of the original one. So I just traded this deck and I now have another one. I picked it up though because somebody I know really wanted it, so I'm going to see if she still wants it, because it was all such a bargain. So throwing in another deck at the price that I got them for was really, really affordable, and I know that this can be a bit of a hard deck to find. And last but not least is another deck that I'm really excited to have. It's Tarot of a Moon Garden. Now if you've followed me for any length of time, you'll know that this was my very first deck when I was 15. I don't have it anymore, that deck that I bought, but I still have the journal with all the notes that I took. Here's the backing. It is a really cute, whimsical sort of deck, but it wasn't the easiest to learn on, I don't think, especially given that the only resource I had was the little white book that comes with it. However, this deck came with a companion book. So whilst this deck is still in print, I don't think you can get the companion book all that easily anymore. And it's a good sized companion book. So I'm really looking forward to revisiting this old deck that I had 10 years ago, and seeing, you know, not only what my old journal had to say, but seeing how the companion book can really add to the experience of this deck, or if it does. The colours are really beautiful, and there's a lot of unicorns and butterflies and dragonflies in this deck. It's really quite pretty. I don't think this is going to become a go-to deck for me, but it was a little hard to resist. The nostalgia just kind of took over me, as I'm sure you can imagine. I haven't looked at this deck or had this deck in my hands since I think I was about 16 or 17. So I just kind of had one of those moments. I was just a little excited. And the fact that it came with the companion book just sold me on it, because I remembered struggling with this deck. So there we are, the confession is out on the table. I have busted my 8-deck challenge, but I think I don't feel sorry for it, let's say that. I got some really great decks at a really wonderful price, and all of them came with a wonderful guidebook, a lot of which you can't get anymore. And I really enjoy companion books and guidebooks. I get a lot out of them. It really helps me connect with the intention behind the artwork, and I like that. So I am planning on working with these all individually, slowly over time, and I will likely talk about them further and perhaps do some reviews on some of them as well. So if there's any that you would like me to talk about more sooner, please leave comments below so I can kind of know which decks to get to. And if you have any other comments or questions, feel free to leave those below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So that's it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all again very soon. Much love. Bye.